a rock, it becomes a pebble. Everyone's at it. It's not, you can't wipe it out. But instead of the rock, it's a pebble. And Upasani Maharaj used to say, the burden from the head, for our own, we take it down to the shoulder. It's lighter, making it lighter than it was. So it's just a comparative, relative thing.
One thing, who was there when all the papayas fell in New Life on head of whom?
What? Go ahead.
Go ahead.
She was standing underneath the papaya tree and directly where the caravan should, the New Life caravan. Put it over there. Don't bring it over here. Put it on the side. She couldn't even move out of range. We saw her go down. Oh. And then she bent down and picked them up very carefully, like precious gems, and put them in a basket because we cooked them and ate them. We learnt in the north that you could cook raw papaya. And you see, we were being very economical while Baba was away for master and sadhu work with the men mandali. We would just eat, and Naja would cook, makes things out of leaves, turnip leaves and radish leaves. That's all the bhajis we had. But when Baba came back, then we could have the rice and dal and things. So this was good, these raw papayas. But they fell on like rockets before we could eat them.
Even if there is nobody to live, it is. And what he means by new life, these are all symbolic representations of what life he led, made us lead, and he led new life. For him, there was no question of him leading the new life, but he comes in our midst as a gauge to set a guideline for us. And in that, symbolically he represented what your new life should be.
It seemed like there was a time in Tales for the New Life, I was thinking it was a conversation between you and Don Stevens, am I correct?
And Mani also.
And Mani was also there, and Don was saying something to the effect that, well, the New Life did not give any kind of pattern. I think what Don was getting at is people were being hippies at that time, and Don didn't want people to be hippies.
I know.
Remember that whole exchange? It's an interesting exchange.
But there was that discipline in that.
Sure there was.
Yeah, there was that discipline. We have mentioned it, we have made it clear. That point has been made clear.
What, that the hippie life of the 60s was
indisciplined.
Was indisciplined.
Yeah, but our new life, although it was a gypsy life, but it had, sure, discipline was there. Yeah.
Baba once said, have hope. And I was thinking of the importance of hopefulness, on the path. And just feeling myself, somewhat hopeless. In recent times that my life is difficult, the life of my friends is difficult, and when I first heard about it, there was always a certain expectation, soon he'll break the silence, and then the change will come, and so forth. And then, as time goes by, one begins to feel this less.
And much less, and much less.
Just before you asked that question, I was about to ask the question, what about the life of hopelessness? Were you able to achieve that state of hopelessness from living the new life, where there can be no more disappointment in life? The illusion of disappointment is totally seen through.
Yeah, it was seen through. It was seen through. But remember that we did not lead the new life.
You were led.
He wanted to go in new life, and those who wish to accompany him can accompany him on certain conditions. It was just like the story that she said just now, that you want to accompany, then you accompany, and you just, whatever good or bad orders I give you, you carry them out. You should not, all the conditions were there, you see. You shouldn't have a garlic face, you see. A horsey face, as he called it.
Horsey?
Like that, yeah.
Horsey.
Yeah. Always a smile on your face, whatever be the circumstances.
Yeah, that's what I like. Always be cheerful.
Yeah, always be cheerful.
That's great.
So it was not that we were leading the new life, but we were following him in new life, which of course tantamount to leading a new life.
I'm still stuck on that tape you played yesterday, so I'm not stuck on it. I just thought it was a great tape because I know
It was.
I know Baba.
It is. Yeah, it is a great one.
Yeah, 'cause I know Baba tells us to be as great as we can in our lives. But at the same time, it's a very difficult thing to go out in the world and to be as good as you can and not be the effect of that goodness. You know? It's a very difficult thing.
But the tape depicts, you see, the turns and twists that our ego leads us into committing, you see. Trying to think good, trying to think being humble, being great, being small, and all this. What it depicts is, as Baba has so often pointed out to us, is everything is binding.
Yeah.
It binds you. It creates those impressions that are there, you see. It keeps you bound all the time. You want to get out of the clutches of the bindings, and all the more you get all sorts of attachments.
One of my favorite things, I don't know if you've ever seen this, is these little, they used to be Chinese finger puzzles we'd have in the United States where you stick your finger in each end, and when you pull really hard, you're stuck.
You get more and more
you get more and more
stuck.
stuck. You know, but it's only when you're very easy with it that you can get free. I always love that.
I haven't seen that.
Oh,
you should get
I
this one.
should bring
I'd love
one.
to find them. I've been looking for them
life,
for
isn't it?
5
Like
years.
Maya.
I think it is. Yeah.
It's like made out of that, like
Coil.
bamboo or tata stuff, and you stick it in this way, and like he says, if you pull, you get them in, and there's like a suction, and then
grasps your fingers.
Yeah, and it kind of holds on.
Then
to
how do you
them
get
and
it out?
shrinks.
You cut it?
No,
that's
when
the
you let
trick.
go, when you let go of the tension of trying to get them out, when you feel like it's...
The harder you pull, the tighter it holds
That's
your
a good
fingers.
example. See how
Yes,
the
isn't
Chinese
it wonderful?
This is what Baba says, let go,
Yeah.
give in.
Give in. That's it. When you give into the tightness, then suddenly the bamboo like expands and your fingers just come out.
That is becoming like particle of dust, giving in.
Yeah. Surrender. Surrender. Baba showed me what surrender was.
I've known that for years.
I've known it for years too.
Robert, have you seen this game? But you never told us anything about it.
You never thought.
It's such a good example. You are a Chinese. You should have.
Tibetan, not Chinese.
Tibetan is that where the game comes from?
Francis used to say to somebody about what was Baba's message, and he said, it's written on the highway all along. Wherever you go, it's written on the highway.
Permission.
No, it's a sign on the side of the road which says, give way.
Give way.
Yield.
Yield. Yeah.
It's not the right thing, brother, to use that word, eh?
What, yield?
Yield, yeah.
Yield? Why? What's that connote?
Then you might succumb to your temptation, saying that Baba wants you to yield.
Yeah. That's
Sometimes you have to
But
burn
don't-
off sanskara.
Don't say yield. Yield to him.
Well, let's
Give
hear
way to him.
Let's hear that point again, Ed.
I say sometimes you have to burn off sanskaras.
Yeah. So
Nothing more.
sometimes you have to. And in the process accumulate more while burning, you see.
Who knows?
Yeah, it is always the case. When you burn off something, you
Well,
create
you have to
another
give him
rubbish.
everything.
You see.
We're
you
told
want to,
that we have
you
to
want
give
to
him
burn the
everything.
rubbish that is there, get rid of it, and you strike a match and allow it to burn. But that rubbish is still there, you see. Main thing, and there's always a slip in this. And that which escapes us is the infinite one. How can the infinite one escape us? That's the thing. So what happens is, the slip is that we always miss him. In anything that we think of, trying to feel or trying to get hold of him, while getting hold of him, he slips out of our grip every time. So all the time focus upon him, try to get the mind focusing upon him, get the heart focusing upon him, get your consciousness, awareness, your body, mind, soul, possessions, everything focused upon him. Then it is safe. But he slips.
Slippery one.
Yeah, very slippery. He wants to steal our heart and we don't allow him to steal. We are always on our guard. Yeah. So at that time your word yield comes, you see. And it's said in good stead, you see, at the time. It comes in good stead. So yield yourself to him. But to him, it should complete. Only yield is not right. Yield to him. Allow him to capture your heart, steal your heart, and all that.
Surrender your battle.
He always used to exhort us to say, how many times your whole life is nothing but gamble. Not only one life, but every incarnation you are gambling. You are not knowing what it is all about. You don't know anything about it. You gamble, you cross all the distances. He gives them various figures, you see. You sit in a ship, aboard the ship. You don't know whether the ship is going to sink or not, but you have a gamble, you gamble on that. Your life, you're gambling your very life there, mind you. And so many things are there, you see, where you continue to gamble. You don't know what's going to happen now that Rick is going out of the door. When he puts the step out, what is going to happen to him? But he still gambles. He dares to go out, he becomes independent and he negotiates things, you see, and all that, but it's all gambling. So he says, well, you are so prone to gambling. What harm is there in gambling at least once in your lifetime? Gamble. Gamble your life at his feet, you see. And it won't be in vain. You won't be the loser this time. But we can gamble all throughout our lifetime, all the incarnations and all that. But when gambling comes, that we should gamble for him, on him, or what is the word you use? Gamble what? Gamble him? What is it? What's the English?
Bet everything on him?
Yeah.
Stake everything
Stake
on him.
Stake
That's your life on him.
Stake your life on him. Yeah. So gamble
your life on him.
Gamble your life on him. Once and for all times, you are relieved of the burden. But that is what happens. He comes time and again to point to us, make us aware of it, awaken us to the fact. Because he is slippery, he slips. Once truly a must had said one thing. You like things that are said by the must. So once he told us this. He was sitting one day in a temple, nice big temple, mind you, and under the idol of the Lord, Krishna, he was reclining against the pedestal on which the idol was standing. And it's dead of night, and Baba is there. We have gone to contact him. We had contacted him before, and he's sitting like that. And around him is his own fickle matter. All thing is wet and all that. He has piddled and all that. And it's the temple, mind you. And when Baba wants to contact us, he wants us to distract his attention. And something that will distract his attention from him, so that he, the Lord, can serve him properly the way he wants to serve. He is not there for anything else, but he wants to pour his love. But he being the Lord, the slave doesn't want to do that. So we have to distract the slave, you see. And so Baba would give a signal, come on, start your distraction. So we'll try to say something, make him into reply things and all that, while Baba is all the time fondling him and pouring out his love to him. So in one of this episode that occurred, I could find nothing except at the dead of the night, you see it is. There's a little lamp that is burning there in front of the statue of the Lord and all that. And I said, Dhondiba, his name was Dhondiba. I said, Dhondiba, what is this? What place is this? So he was there, and then he looked at me and I said, well, don't you know, it's known as the temple. I'm translating in his vernacular into English. So he says, yeah, I see that it's a temple. But what sort of a temple here that here I just showed him this whole bit. And here is all your piddling around. I know that. He says, yeah, people call it a temple. But do you know what the temple is? I said, no, what is it? We hear that where God is housed and all that. He says, oh no, it's not that. It's not that thing that is sanctified or anything of the sort. What he told me, the words of wisdom that come out at the time. He says, you know what a temple is? The people erect temples and for Lord. He is so infinite that they cannot lay their hands on him anywhere. So what they do is, they make believe that they have captured him, they have got a hand on him, and they create a statue and put him here. Really speaking, it's a prison for him, it's not a temple. They want to imprison his infinitude. That's what he said. It's a prison for him.
Well, Baba said the same thing. Religion's cage me, they cover me up.
Baba said in a different way about his own body, that this body that you see, his body, it's a coffin for him. He has been nailed in it, And we are so happy with his coffin, associating ourselves with his coffin. And when he passes away from our midst, you see, then we feel the loss of it. On the contrary, you should feel happy about it, that he is released out of this. That's his resurrection. After 3 days. And resurrection is not to be meant as
not of the gross.
Not of the, as we say, you see, that suppose it's not the flight from the earth to the moon, as Rumi said, you see, and he steps his foot there on the moon there and says, it's not that, it means the ascension, it's not, from resurrection there is the ascension, isn't it?
After.
So the Rumi describes the ascension after resurrection, it's not that, it's not a person, you see, on the earth ascends to the moon and steps on the moon. It's not the ascension, although it is, for the men it is so. But it's not that. Real ascension is like the sugar from the sugarcane farm that transmutes itself into sugar. That is ascension of the sugarcane. So resurrection leads us to this sort of ascension.
Why is the resurrection spoken of in terms of 3 days of dropping the gross body? Why did you mention?
Because of the link, you see, that is there with the gross for 3 days.
Even with the avatar?
Yeah, all. Body is body. With the universal, it is like that.
So the avatar maintains his subtle and mental body after he drops the gross body.
He, of course, continues to do that.
But is there a possibility of suffering with the mental or subtle body of the avatar after dropping the gross body? So when does the suffering finally come to an end? I thought when he dropped his gross
physical
body,
suffering comes to an end, you see. As soon as
physical suffering is only minute compared
he drops
to
the body,
mental
you
and
see.
subtle.
Yeah, but then he said that I don't just suffer physically and I have suffering, you see. You call your suffering as physical suffering, but I have 3 types of suffering. I suffer physically, mentally and spiritually. And my suffering is such that I suffer like that. And physical, you have seen that my accidents have taken place, so many things are there. Something happens to my body, and that's physical suffering, which you all know. And then mental suffering is that in spite of my being in your midst and all that, you long to gather blessings from this saint and that is my mental suffering. I have taken you all to be mine. I've taken you to be mine, and have shown you the way, have made you aware of it, and in spite of it, well, you have thoughts and feelings of going here, there, and all that, and amassing blessings, you see.
Wasn't there a time?
So that's my mental suffering, and my spiritual suffering is being encaged in you all the time.
So that the avatar continually suffers. There's never a time when he doesn't.
Encaged within us, you said?
Yeah. Means he feels himself bound and limited within us.
He longs to be free.
Yeah, of course.
So when is the time he's finally free?
He's never free. He's free in each one of us when we free him. He frees himself, and we allow him yield.
But he does take rest for 700 years.
Yeah, he does.
Once he drops. Yeah. I can't understand how his suffering can continue after he finishes his work and leaves.
He suffers spiritually. His spiritual suffering is constant. No, even then it's there, constant. His suffering is in each one of us. He finds himself imprisoned in each one of us. He finds himself limited in each one of us. Him being infinite, unlimited, finds his limitations in each one of us.
Did you know, Eruch, there's two things there, like, you talk about that, I think this is everything and nothing, you talk about the jest on my chest. I've created all this, I've got to suffer for it. But then you talk about, Baba enjoyed the play, he provoked, he enjoyed all that, seeing all that play going on. How do you reconcile that?
But look here, the thing is that there are people who are sick. Here, take the physical example. When we get stumped, you see, with things beyond our understanding, and so we have to fall back on our own earth level, you see, to gain some sort of understanding from that. Suppose if I'm sitting over here, I'm in pain at this juncture, and yet I enjoy. Don't I enjoy? All my suffering is there. My suffering is a lot. There are people in the world who suffer like that, you see, and they yet enjoy, you see. The game, this thing, and all that sort of thing is there.
Like the singing relief part of suffering, possibly.
Yeah, there is that's why when a person is suffering, we play music or we tell stories or something, because then that is a relief. That is enjoying. That is filling in, or what do you call, not distracting, weakening his suffering for the time being. It's less of suffering at that time.
I know the best solution.
It's a remedy for his suffering. Pardon?
I know the best solution for less and less.
Yeah.
I'm an expert on it. I want less and less and less. I want like Lucy in the Peanuts. I want all this to be, everything should be nice. So, read the headlines of the newspapers at night. Just see the problems everybody else has, especially those who are in power. And your problems get that small. It's just comparative. And every time it's, oh my goodness, Indira Gandhi, but at least I haven't got to face what Indira Gandhi has to face. And then I saw this morning a cartoon of a mouse looking at a cat and not caring a dot. You know how she was looking at the cat? Through her binoculars, the other way.
The other way.
So the cat is so small. Oh, and the mouse is bigger than the cat at that distance. And I said to myself, that's exactly what we should do more of. use those kind of binoculars to put our worries into perspective. Make them small enough. But even Baba would make a gesture very often when we make a thing out of proportion. We make something that doesn't exist even so much out of proportion. And he would say, we make a mountain out of a mustard seed. Such a big thing, such a small thing has been made into a big thing. Instead of making the real into that proportion, we make a mountain into a mustard seed. We give that much thought or that much care for the big, the real, and what is insignificant and little, we make that into mountains. So it's just the binoculars, change it around, focus on it. But no, really, apart from joking, it helps me when I read. Oh my goodness gracious! In fact, I have no problem at all. We're talking of little problems like in the trust, but this has to be done tomorrow. But when I see what Indira Gandhi has to do, then it just doesn't seem existing at all. And then I thought, maybe these psychiatrists who listen to everybody else's problems, they find that their problems don't exist. And their trouble is, they go funny in their head because they can't stand not having any problem, I suppose.
Unemployed.
Well, they couldn't possibly have a problem if they listened to poor things,
Jean Shaw was telling me one night she was worried over a particular problem that seemed really big to her. So she just, on impulse, opened the Bible and it said, she opened the Bible, just on spontaneous. She felt Bob inspired and it said, "Worry ye not as do those who have no hope at all." She's Baba is all my hope. Just think of all the people in the world that don't have Baba.
Rick and I were talking about this morning, and you see, we think of don't worry as a very passive thing. Don't worry. That means the worry has not come in. It just does not enter. It's a passive thing. Actually, don't worry is a very active thing. Because it takes so much of your energy and so much of your attention not to worry. You start worrying about it. Oh, I won't worry about this. Now I'm not going to worry about that. It's really a live thing. With Baba, nothing is a dead thing. It keeps you busy, not worrying. In the world, we keep busy worrying. It keeps you busy, not worrying. Not sitting back and being passive and having no worry. The worry will come and you don't worry. So you're doing something, It's the action, the motion. Vibrant. With Baba, even a dead thing gets live. Even illusion becomes lively. Because he is reality. And because we are in his orbit, it touches, just his breath. It changes, makes it alive. So even worry is a good thing because we grapple with it. So now I won't worry. I'm busy doing that. Harry, that was good, huh?
Very good. It's got me off worrying.
Worrying that I'm not worrying.
Personal thing with Baba, between Baba and each of his lovers, between Baba and his own, is a very special secret. His love, his relationship with one, even his blessings are in disguise, so you can then have the joy of discovering. I know who he is. Like when you see Santa Claus, when we used to see him in school, we always wondered, who's he? Who's daddy? Is it Jones' daddy? Or is it May's uncle? Or so even that. But it's there. believe it. You see, that's where our trust comes in. We have love. We have everything. I mean, we give ourselves to Baba. But one thing I find is that we sometimes lack in total trust. If we trusted it 100% all the time, then there would be no cause for worry. Because then we know, we trust him, that even if a thing is like this, he's in control, he's handling it, he loves you, he's aware of you, and it just couldn't be anything but for the best of you, for you. But that does, and therefore the worry comes in. I'm including myself. So it's just that, sometimes, even if it's momentary. But with Baba, the thing is that we are aware of it. We know it. Immediately you catch yourself saying, hey, what is this? Even with anger. I mean, once when you're out in the world, you can be really angry, but when having come within Baba's orbit, little by little, you'll find that at least you'll know. You'll see it. You'll be an audience to your own anger, or your own desire, own greed, whatever it is. And you say, hey, I have that. I say, what's the matter with you, Mani? This doesn't rate your thoughts or the way you're behaving. This is not it. That is the first sign. So that it's projected before you. You can see it. And then little by little it can fade away. Fade away slowly. It does that.
Mani, what is the difference between worrying about something and thinking about something that you have to do?
That's concern. Baba never wants you to neglect anything. Concern you must have, 100%. And do your best. But the worry is, will it happen like that? Won't it happen like that? Will it turn out? Will this? That's worry. There is a difference, a vast difference. Concern, he definitely wants it. If you don't have concern, you're just being lazy. Concern should be there, but not worry. You have to leave that to him, whichever way.
Isn't it once concern becomes preoccupation, it's worry?
Concern becomes?
Preoccupation.
Yes.
Then it's worry.
Yes.
You become preoccupied.
So concern means you have to apply yourself to a problem, face it, do your best to solve it. Supposing somebody is very ill, you have concern, you do your very best to see the person's comfortable and receives all the aid, but not to worry, will he live through, won't he live through, what will we do, will this happen, then if he goes, is this, no.
That's preoccupation.
You have to leave that to him. There that trust comes, that point about trust comes.
Whenever we went out, it's a small town, so we'd go, naturally we go to the town to find out, well, have you heard of Krishna, was he here, where can we find, he says, oh, Krishna, that madman, I know, we know, he was here, where is Krishna? So he said, he had gone this way, so we go follow that, wherever, he was so restless, all the time throughout his life he was restless, in search of his Lord, Krishna, who had come and worked in his place. So that's how it was. One day we missed him. Whole day we wandered around him, but we couldn't catch hold of him. Because he would be here one moment, the next moment he would be somewhere. Like, means he would go. Sometimes he would run, sometimes he would walk, sometimes he would loiter about somewhere. People see him going this, then he will take a turn and go this way, you see. That's how it would be. So we missed him for the whole day. Returned disappointed back to our rest house. Baba was very sad about it, that because when he hears and he's in the same town as his lover is, who would want to miss that opportunity? So that's how he was, of course. And because of his mood, we didn't enjoy that day or the meal or anything. The next day Baba says, again we bucked up and says, this day we'll find him. Next day also we missed, same way. Tired. All the time we had to go on foot. We return, Baba says, one more day we'll try. And the third day now what has happened is that as we get out of the rest house, there's a gate, just as this gate is of Meherazad. Same type of gate was there, I still remember. And as we step out, there's a road, main road there. And we are there now trying to decide whether we should go this way or that way in search of him. So just then we hear from a distance the sound, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Oh, we said, each one looked at the other. Baba himself is there, the noise is coming. And sure enough, the man was coming, raving mad, So this is what I noticed. I saw it with my own eyes. As soon as he came closer, we stayed there on the main road, just before the gate, outside the gate. So he sees Baba from a distance and he rushes to him, and they are in a tight embrace. And each lost the balance, you see. Means, in that so both fell on the road in the grip. Yeah. And with great difficulty we separated them.
So the response to really true love is unfailing, huh?
Yeah.
So it was as recent as that, is it?
Huh?
I mean...
Yeah, we contacted that man.
He should be alive.
Yeah, it is there, it happened.
So he wasn't so old.
No.
It's strange that Baba often would have pre-knowledge of things that were happening, would stop the car and you wouldn't know why, and all of a sudden somebody would come along. But sometimes it was
mostly it would be natural. He would want us to be in search of it, want us to collect the addresses, gather the addresses, and in the most natural way, not anything supernatural. But sometimes there would be a short circuit in that. On the spur of the moment. The same thing happened with the boy in school there in Hamirpur, when the parents wouldn't allow him to go there. Wouldn't allow him to go. He wouldn't sleep, he can't sleep and all that. Somehow or other that youngster was drawn to Baba in his love for him, and the parents didn't allow him. He says, you shouldn't miss the school. And what's this? He's a Zoroastrian and we are the devotees of Krishna and Ram and all this. What is this? How can he be the same avatar and all that sort of thing? But the boy wouldn't. So with great heavy heart, he went to the school, and he was there in the school, and Baba visited that school. He went from class to class. Eventually he went to never allowed us to feel anything.
None of you knew.
Nothing of that sort. And we thought that it was a nice school visit. Baba is giving, his presence is there in the school, it will do good to the boys and all that. That's the feeling that we had in our mind. Nothing. But that boy, when he saw, he came rushing and embraced Baba. And then, of course, he was all the time with Baba and all that. Then his parents came to know about it, that he could not go, and Baba went there. Then they realized. So they came also with the boy for Baba's darshan that same evening. So that's how it is. So these little short circuits would be there, which we didn't know.
When Baba met Krishna and Mas, they were on the ground, rolling around.
Yeah. In an embrace, tight embrace. They were, both lost the balance, you see. Well, I don't know what balance you may call it, physical balance.
They were trying to regain a different balance.
Yeah.
But he says we are to be totally absorbed in him and yet in the world, grounded without becoming must. Right? So there must be techniques.
He is telling us that for his work, not for the world. For those who are around him, he doesn't want us to be overpowered. You see. Otherwise, of what avail it is that?
Right.
Yeah.
What I'm saying, there must be... I feel sometime in the future there are going to be like yogic techniques that are going to help people who achieve the high levels to remain grounded so that they don't become imbalanced.
There are yogic schools, you see, who go, you cross the plains and all that sort of thing. You remain balanced, and it's good. You get experiences of the different planes and all that. But that's not the path. Remember that.
What I'm saying is being on the path without being unbalanced.
Yeah, without being unbalanced also. On the path there are cases. That's why in God Speaks it is mentioned that there are musts, means imbalanced, or you can't call it imbalance, really, real word that will... a dignified word for such a state is, you can't call it imbalance. On the contrary, he's more balanced than all of us put together, you see. So you may call it overpowered. Baba uses that word, overpowered, intoxicated. in love. So there are on each plane people who are overpowered, people who have kept their normal consciousness, and there are who sometimes are overpowered and sometimes keep the balance. So on each plane of consciousness it's like that. Some get overpowered, some are there.
But then it's not a matter of any choice on our part whether we'll be overpowered or...
It's not that for you all, he would love that you all get overpowered and all that, but he used to tell us that of what avail would you be to me if you get overpowered. For heaven's sake, you get out from here, because you consume food here and you are here to work and serve me. I don't want you all to be overpowered like that. You pay attention to what I tell you. You have to do the duties. He doesn't...
For us, the path is the path of love.
Love
and surrender. The path.
So
that's not our business. Just to love him. Even in that Bhagavad Gita one, I love these, but I love most those who simply love me and surrender to me. That's the Bhagavad Gita. That is the highest. To love. Goodness gracious, it's too big. If you're only longing for love, to love him, is the longing that will put in shade all other longing. There's nothing that exists. I keep telling people that, sometimes you can get some words of Baba out of all this forest of words which he has already also given us. The root, the source has also given us the leaves, if that's what we want. And my most favorite one is when Baba talks on love. If you love me as St. Francis loved Jesus, you would not only realize me, that's secondary. You would not only realize me, but you would please me. He places the love above the experience, above even achievement of God realization. Because you could please him only if you loved him. That is the highest. That is the grace. That you love him and please him so much that from his grace he will give. But you're not loving him because he's the rich uncle who has so much and he will leave you so much. You're loving him because of himself. And that is the highest. If you cannot love him just because of himself, what's the use of calling that word love if it cannot be for him? That is, he's worthy of love because he is love. It's Baba's own words. And those we mustn't miss. There are lots of other things. And Baba places that as the highest. That he alone can give. To that love he really is slave. Look at the story we now told. Out of his way he goes. Even later, not only signs in this place and that, but later goes in person. For 3 days looks for him. That is the love that draws. What is it that we want? We can want anything. And if you're really seeking that, seeking experience, seeking God realization, seeking that means you're ready to buy it. You know what it is, and it's a price you can never pay. But this way, this is not like breaking open a safe with dynamite. This is a key, a combination that you know. And the combination is of 4 letters, L-O-V-E. Love him, that's all.
But in vernacular it is only 2.5 letters. But the English people have stretched it to 4 letters.
That's right.
No, but this reminds me of how...
Excuse me.
No, you remember just before our tea session I said her story reminded me of something that I want you all to know. So and this topic and subject has cropped up, so it brings back to my memory an episode, not about Baba or his disciple, but there was one true aspirant who aspired for the truth. And he had come to know, this is the bargain now, bargain side of it, apart from loving. So see what happens is, so he in his aspirations to reach the height, he had learnt and become aware the worth of all his search, and says the culmination is going to a perfect master and getting from him the name of the Lord, the word with which he could do anything, you see. And if he can have that word and can naturally, he will be able to, well, help the whole world. And he can do anything and everything with it. And his search of truth, mind you, but his search of truth leads him to this. His goal is to get that secret so that he can be of help to humanity.
Like a talisman.
Yeah, it's like that. Let's see what it lands one into. So he goes, he leaves his family, he leaves his home, he's a young man, sturdy person, thinks straight, and he's sincere in his search. And he goes from place to place, place to place, one master after another. And it led him, after many years of his journey, it led him to the threshold of a hut, where there is a people house, just as we were led from one place to another in search of the must, so also, and people are the ones who helped us in getting the addresses. So likewise, people helped him to reach that hut, and he is there. And there sits an old man. And he comes there, and he lays himself prostrate before him. So the old man says, "What do you want? What is it?" He's surprised, you see. He says, "I want refuge at your feet. I want to live with you." He says, "Oh, it will be a good thing. Yeah, it will be a good thing to have some help now because of my age. Yeah, go and attend to things, clean the place and all that." He was happy, expressed his happiness, that's all. 12 years passed by. And this man, knowing fully well the worth of this old man, no talk of God or realization or anything, he is serving now. He's paying the price for it all. Why? Because he wants to earn that. It's a bargain, you see. He knows that in return what he is going to have, or he expects to have. So then it is said that after a long period of service, say 12 years or 14 years, that's the usual period when each party gets little agitated as to what's going to happen now. So it is always fixed at 12 years or 14 years. So it is the 12th year of his service. So the master one day calls, not the master, the old man, who is of course the perfect master of the time. So he says, "Young man, I am well pleased with your service. What brought you here after all? We are doing the service here without any complaint or anything. Day and night you are working and helping me out. I am very pleased with you. But let me know in the first place what brought you here. What do you want? What is it? You have never spoken a word to me and I know nothing about it. I don't know. What is it?" So he smiles and says, "What may I tell you? I came here with the expectation that if I were to surrender to you, you will be pleased to bestow upon me the secret of the name of the Lord, that word, which is considered to be the only thing. It is said in the spiritual parlor, it's known as the word, which Baba says, when I break my silence, I'll release that word. He says that, so that is the word. So, he says, "Oh, says, okay. But then I'm well pleased with you, but I need to test you." After 12 years of service, he needs to test him now. So he says, "Test me? What test should I bear? What is it that you want me to do?" He says, "Nothing. I just want you to now, today, this morning hour, I want you to go to the city gates and stand there, be there. You know, those were the years when each city had gates, northern gate, southern gate, or this gate, or that gate, or Delhi gate, or Rajputana gate, or whatever it is. So I want you to go to the city gate and just stand there. And come back in the night when the gates are locked and report to me what stirred most in your heart at the time, the sight, whatever it is that affected you. So he goes in obedience, naturally he goes there. So he goes and stands there. The donkeys go out, the donkeys come in, the riders are there, the mules are there, the horses are there, camels, all the things, you know, daily worldly life is there. Going out of the city, coming inside the city and all that. So he just waits and he remembers his master all the time. Nothing seems to stir in him. Nothing seems to be a sight worth noticing. So he waits there. Not Baba, but the man said that come in the evening afterwards when the city gate is locked to come back. So he is waiting for the city gate to be locked. There is nothing to report. And sure enough, the warden comes with huge key. That's his duty, to go to all gates and chain them, wind the thick chain and lock it. So he's there now. And he feels that nothing has happened. What will I go and report to him? What does he mean by it? Is this the test or what is it? And he's very sad that there is nothing to report. Just as he winds the chain and turns the key to lock the lock, then an old man comes there, doubly bent with great weight on his back. Very old, has immense weight burden on his back, and that is nothing but firewood that he has collected. So seeing the warden there, he implores the warden, "Oh, sire, please allow me, please allow the entry, please open it, please allow me, I'm the last person to enter, but what can I do? You see, I got so engrossed in it." He says, "Get out, you fool, and son of this, and you know, all the abuses are being done." And this man is watching here. His heart is getting stirred. He says, can't he have pity on this old man who is so doubly bent with the burden and is carrying and is crying out loudly to allow him to get inside? Can he not do that? And no, he's adamant. He says, "Get out from here, I'm not going to do it. Don't pester me like that. Please allow me. You know that my livelihood depends upon it. If I don't sell it, I starve tonight. There's no food. I haven't eaten the whole day. Please, please." And he's imploring. And the more he implores, this young man, you know, his spirits are stirred. And eventually the imploring led the warden to unwind the chain. And the man says, really, he's a person. And he opened the gate, not too wide, but just opened the gate enough and put out his hand and took the whole load, you see, from his back, threw the load inside and again locked the door. He says, "Get out from here now. I've unburdened you. Go away from here. Come in the morning. Nobody can get entry afterwards. I've done this much for you." And this man is taken aback. What's the matter? Even anybody, the cruelest of the person will feel for him. Why does he do that? Could he not have allowed him there with that? Why is he so stubborn? Why is he must have broken the laws so often, but is this the way to treat an old man, a venerable person like that? And his heart is full. But that man locked the gate and turned his back and went away. This young man trudges along and goes back to his old man's house, his master's house. And the master is there and says, "Oh, you have returned?" He says, What is it that, any story that you bring, anything that drew your attention? What happened? What transpired? You took so long to come? So he says, "Master, the whole day passed by in the humdrum life of humanity. Nothing happened." "Nothing happened? Whole day you were there? Nothing happened there worth noticing and reporting?" This is just at the time when, then he tells the story. Just as the time the warden came to lock and this happened, this happened. He says, "And what were your feelings? And were your feelings stirred?" Is this what you want to report? He says, yes, this is the only report that I have to give. So what did your heart say at that time? He said, I worked for the Master for 12 years in expectation of the word. Had he given me the word, I could have been of such great help to the old man and released him of all his worries and burden and gotten him. The lock would have flown open, the gate would have been ajar, and there would be no big worry. I could have struck that man dead, and so forth. He's just stirring up and all that. With heaving a great sigh, he says, you couldn't stand the test, you have failed. Failed? For generating such feelings? He says, yes. You can generate feelings, you have no container to contain them. What is it, Master? I don't understand. He says, you come for me, for that word. Do you know who gave me the word? It was the same old man, doubly bent with all that. He was the one, he's my Master who gave me the word. That is the story. So expectations are there that lead us to total frustration, you see. All that is needed is just love and expect nothing. And then you get everything.
While you were telling that story, I had a thought. The seeker wants to gain.
Yeah.
The lover wants to lose himself.
That's true. Yeah. That's what Baba said.
So the seekers are aspirants, and the lovers are expirants.
Yeah. That's true. Where effacement plays the most game, is the greatest game on the spiritual path. That is advancement. That's what Baba always used to tell us. It's no joke like that. We can't contain. That's what then the Master said, that if you really want now, what you have to do is to ask the grace for the grace for what? For the container to contain the grace. When you have the container, then automatically everything will be there. But just ask for the grace to contain the grace. First ask for the container. Otherwise, what is there? And that container on its own comes to one who just dabbles in love without expectation. When he loses everything. The very loss itself is the container. Yeah. Pardon? This reminds me of a very humorous episode which I have been telling many people. I don't know whether I told you all in this group. There was a certain person who also was of the same type, very straightforward, very sincere, very loving. But what happened is that after long years of search, he is now getting a lot of, flustered is the right word?
Frustration.
And frustration. No, means he does not know what to do. He is impatient, over anxious, you see. He's losing patience and all that. So he says, he decides. He takes a seat in the temple and he takes a vow. I do or die. I'm not going to get up from here till I get not God, till I get His blessings for this, not container, till I get the blessings that I may be what you call blessed with power, infinite power. So he sits there, and years are passing by, and he's determined. He's determined not to leave the place. His legs have, knee joints and everything has become stiff and everything. He's just at one place. His determination is so great. Mind you, the story leads us, the determination is so great. But what makes the determination, what is behind the determination, was to seek something, gain something, get something. After 12 long years, again, the surge of frustration is on his in him, you see, surges, and he feels, oh, what avail is all this? Where does my Lord know that I am sitting over here, remembering him all the time? When will he shower his mercy? Just then he says, I am well pleased with you. What is it that you want? He hears it. So he says in his ecstasy, he's so overjoyed. He says, all that I want is, you know what it is. I need not say, I want justice, justice from you. So then the voice says that divine justice demands that you have been a burden on the stone for 12 years. Let the stone be released and put it on your head and bear the burden of the stone. Yeah. So this is the result of expectation. This is not spirituality or spiritual search. Expectation of anything, there you are, you get that sting, you see. What needs is total trust and abandonment in love. Just love him, because he is love, that's all. Why do you expect? Love needs to give everything. Doesn't want you to collect anything, ask for anything, do anything of the sort. Just wants, love has to flow, that's all. And the whole creation is because of that purpose, to experience that love and to be loving and be loved.
That's why in all the love stories of the great poets, it's always the moth and the light, the candle, the flame, the moth and the flame. What is the moth expecting out of that flame? Only to consume itself. When it finds that light, that flame, all the moth wants is to consume itself. And Baba would also point this illustration out in his talks and favorite lines of Hafiz or some great poet like that. That is to give your